Everyone was looking at me like I was kind of crazy, but then they all looked at my hands and was like, oh, she has flashcards, oh, she's doing exams, poor girl. Hi guys, it's Emily here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're not already subscribed, go hit the subscribe button down in the box below so you don't miss any of my videos in the future. Today I'll be sharing with you some of my revision tips for my GCSEs because I know a lot of people will be sitting their AS, A2 and GCSE exams very soon. I personally am not sitting any A-level exams this year, so I didn't realise it was this close, so I'm really sorry if this video is coming too late for some people, but I'm going to share them with you anyway. In GCSE, it's really important to revise to get those top grades because otherwise you're just going to sit back and you're going to get some good grades if you're quite clever. You can get through GCSEs quite well without revising, but it's really important that if you're trying to get into the top grade boundaries that you really do some good revision. And likewise, if you're in quite lower grade boundaries but you know you could do better, you really need to revise to get that information into your head and do well in the exams. So my first piece of advice is adopt some pre-owned books. Pre-owned books are amazing because they have notes in them already 90% of the time. That's what I've done for my A-levels. I have two of my English books are like pre-owned and had notes in already, which has really helped me kind of come to grasps with the course more. You're one step ahead from everybody else and that really helps out, especially with kind of getting that alternative perspective. Especially in English, examiners really like different readings and alternative opinions on things, so it's really useful to have some pre-owned books with some annotations in. All of my GCSE English books I still have in case my brothers do it, in case they come back onto the syllabus, and all of my A-level books have annotations in as well. Same goes for textbooks. If they are pre-annotated, it's really helpful because it could help you get a greater understanding of what you're doing. Tip 2 is use loads and loads of colours. It is a scientifically proven fact that things in colour go into your brain more easily and are retained for longer. This is because your brain is used to seeing black and white all the time on paper. As soon as you add a splash of colour, you're going to remember it so much better. That's why highlighters are in neon. Who knew? You should really invest in some really good colours. Some fine liner markers are really good, as well as having some big chunky highlighters to create stuff like revision cards, revision posters, or just highlighting and annotating in books. With these fancy colours, my third tip is highlight and annotate key information in textbooks and in your workbook, and then transfer them into revision posters, flashcards, and any other little revision technique you may use. This is so important for kind of grasping those key ideas and expanding your knowledge from what you know. So if you remember a little keyword like photosynthesis, you can go, oh wait, that's oxygen, that's carbon dioxide, that's water, and that's light energy. And I probably got that all wrong because I haven't done science since GCSE. Having those keywords highlighted can make you recall all the information that goes with that. Sorry, there was a bird. Revision flashcards are so good because they're small. They're about this big. If you buy them, they're like that big, and you can take them anywhere with you. I used to revise on buses, in car journeys. I went to Bath one day and just walked around Bath, like chemistry, physics, biology, and everyone was looking at me like I was kind of crazy, but then they all looked at my hands and was like, oh, she has flashcards, oh, she's doing exams, poor girl. They are so useful. You can just revise them anywhere. You don't have to carry these huge textbooks around with you everywhere you go, and you have these flashcards, and eventually you will learn every single thing on those flashcards, and it really helps in the exam as well. Another good tip is to colour coordinate those flashcards with your subjects. So if you have blue for maths, red for English, green for geography, and pink for drama, those are going to really help you remember. Again, with the colours, if you assign certain colours to certain subjects, it will be easier to recall them in an exam. The fourth tip is buy/adopt revision guides. These revision guides are so useful. All of them have all the relevant information if you buy them for the right exam board. So they're going to be having all the information on your subjects in them, as well as revision questions at the back as well, which kind of kills two birds with one stone. You're revising and then you're putting it into practice in the same environment that you would in an exam if you're doing them under exam conditions. They are really useful for explaining things in different ways to what your teacher might. So if you don't grasp something quite as well as other people, have a look in the revision guide and see if it explains it any differently. Again, if you get pre-annotated versions or versions that your siblings or friends have owned before, they will also have probably annotations and highlights in to make it a bit clearer and a bit easier for you to revise from. My next tip is do not revise in your room. I eat, sleep and procrastinate in my bedroom. Those are like the three main things I do in my room, and that should not mix with exams at all or revision. You will be so much more focused if you go somewhere else, like your dining room, a study, into the garden if it's nice weather. Or if you have study leave, you can always go back into school, and I know that sounds crazy, going back into school and you have freedom from school, but it will focus you so much more. Go into school, sit in the library for 3 hours and revise, and then come home. And then you can do what you want and give yourself a bit of a rest. Kind of opposite to that, it may unfocus you, but always try revising with your friends. I revised with one of my friends for most of my science, and literally that is how I passed, because it was so funny. We made up jokes about some of the flashcards that we had, we laughed about, we had food, we went on picnics. It was amazing, and I absorbed so much more information and remembered that information because I tested her, she tested me, and we learn from each other's mistakes as well as our own, so it gets almost like double the revision into one session of revision. It's really good. Also, it's fun and it doesn't feel like you're revising because you're revising with your friend and you're having a laugh. Probably the biggest tip I can give you is get off your phone, hide it, run away from it, leave it. It's so easy to get distracted by your phone. It goes ping and you're like, oh, I'll just check this notification, and you then end up with an hour on Snapchat, Instagram and Twitter. I promise you they will still be there in an hour, and not much will have changed, honestly. I pinky promise you, nothing bad's gonna happen if you just leave your phone for an hour. What I normally do is I put it under my pillow on silent, so it's there, but I don't pay attention to it. If you're really, really, really bad, go and leave it with someone else. If you have a neighbour, go and leave it with your neighbour and be like, I will be back in an hour. If I am back before that, don't let me have it. If my mum rings, come and get me, sort of thing. So they kind of have jurisdiction on whether the notifications or calls you're getting are important or not, and that's going to really help you focus if you don't have any distractions like that. Stay productive after school is something that's really difficult, especially for me. When I get home, I switch off. Like I said, I come straight into my bedroom and that's it, I'm so unfocused. When you get home, come home, get changed, go downstairs, get yourself a drink. I drink either coffee or green tea. You should probably drink green tea, but I'm such a coffee person. And get yourself a snack, some fruit, some vegetables, or something that's going to really help your brain, like some nuts. Use those as snacks and eat them as you revise, and drink your green tea as you revise, and sit in your designated study place and do revision straight away. Obviously have a bit of a breather, don't like rush in the door, get changed, eat food and then go. Like, take your time with it, but at the same time don't get distracted by other things. When revising, don't try to study for more than 30 minutes to an hour on each subject. It really helps if you break it down so your brain isn't processing hours and hours of information. If you make your revision sessions short and snappy, it's so much easier. A really good website for this is getrevising.co.uk, and you can create yourself a study planner so you'll know exactly what you're revising, when you're revising and how long you're doing it for. For example, if you wanted to do a maths past paper, you're going to need like an hour, I think it's an hour, to do that in, or like an hour 45 minutes, however long it is. So set yourself that amount of time to do that. Don't try and squeeze all that into half an hour. But likewise, if you're just revising quotes for English, don't do that for more than half an hour, because that will drag on and you won't remember them all. My final tip is something that really helped me. It might help some people. I did find it annoying sometimes, but I armed my parents with flashcards and questions to ask me. So they just kind of quickly whack out a flashcard, ask me the question, and I'd have to like quick fire answer it back. This can be really annoying if your parents are too eager to do this, or you're really not in the mood at that time. I did get quite annoyed at my mum sometimes for doing this. However, it's really helpful if you can just get asked these questions by people around you, and then you're kind of committed to revising, because if people are constantly getting on at you about it, I know it's annoying, but it's really helpful because you're like, okay, I should just do this now. Other than that, I think that's it. I really hope that anybody studying for their GCSEs, AS or A2 exams this year have really good luck and just try your hardest. It is the most you can do. If you don't get the grades you want, that's fine. It's not the end of the road. If anything, it kind of opens your horizons a bit more and allows you to think outside the box a bit more. So good luck in all of your exams, and if you have any questions, DM me, comment down below, anything like that. For reference, I got 3 A stars, 5 A's and 3 B's in my exams. I'm not boasting, I'm just saying that these revision tips work. They might not all work for you, and it might be just one of them that you find amazing, but give them a try and it will really help you out. Other than that, I will see you next week in another lovely video. Adios!